Hi there, welcome back to ADSR Massive Tutorials. If you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, get yourself subscribed, youtube.com/ADSR Tuts. So continuing with the feature on making chord sounds with native instruments, massive this month. Last week we looked at some kind of basics of stacking up chords, minor and major chords and stuff with the oscillators and using pitch inversions, and I was going to show you a little trick I use sometimes for creating kind of chord sounds in massive, and using this voicing section here to just go one further than what we were looking at last week. So if we've got, say, this oscillator here, sawtooth, and we start stacking up a chord sound, we can get our quite familiar chord sounds going on. But one thing I realised was using this voicing section, you can actually create sort of more kind of like layered chord sounds, really, and just kind of deeper, thicker sounds, increasing the voices and playing around with this pitch cutoff here. So as we know, if we kind of start boosting some voices in here, turn this pitch cutoff on, we've got some more voices now. And now if we slide this kind of pitch cutoff slider to the right, it's kind of spreading out the pitches of these voices here, and of course the oscillators as well. So, which is quite a cool effect that you can use to create nice sounds in massive. But one thing I was looking at here was over to the right. By default, we've got 0 on the left and 1 on the right. If we move it all the way to the right, it's going to sound a bit horrible. So if we boost this number up here to something like 5, and then change this from center to chord, and start playing around with some of these things, maybe mute oscillator 2 for now, and boost up to 7, turn on oscillator 2 again. We get these crazy sort of chord sounds, and it's just a case of experimentation really with oscillators here, how many oscillators we have turned on, the pitch inversion of these 3 oscillators, the amount of voices we apply in this voicing section here, and the number that we apply to this right hand of this pitch cutoff here, and we start to get these sort of and it is a case of experimentation, because sometimes it's not going to sound that great. It's, you know, you're stacking up voices and spreading the pitch of all these voices, and then stacking up oscillators in here. But a bit of experimentation, you get these really sort of interesting, unique sounds. Of course, if we start playing around with some filters and stuff to just kind of tame the sound a little bit, we end up with sounds that we couldn't get from just stacking up oscillators. You know, that's without these voices being spread on the pitch here. You get these really cool sounds. So take this one step further and create that, or recreate that sound we had playing at the start of the video. So I'm going to start off with a pulse saw pulse width modulation wavetable, and I'll move it around so we get a bit of that pulse wave in, and pull the pulse width down just before halfway, and probably modulate this pulse width as well. It sounds pretty cool as we move that around, a bit of movement. I'm going to pitch this oscillator up by 2 octaves. And turn on oscillator 2. This is going to be a pulse width modulation, VA PWM again, and pulse saw position just before halfway, and pulse width just before halfway again, and take the pitch up to +3. So again, a bit of a chord inversion there, and then I'm going to hold Alt or Option if you're on a PC, click and drag up, and then I'm just going to take the pitch of that second oscillator up by 1 octave. And turn on oscillator 3 now, and just convert this to a square saw 2 and pull in some of that square wave, and maybe pull the intensity down to just tame some of the high frequencies a bit, and maybe the amp too. And then let's take the pitch of this up by +7 semitones. Getting that nice minor chord going on. And let's go straight to this voicing section now and set up that voicing like we were looking at before. So increase the voices to 3, pull the master down a bit, and turn this pitch cutoff on, and then let's boost this number to 7 in the right box here, convert it to chord. And let's start modulating that. It sounds quite nice, but there's a couple of frequencies that are a bit obtrusive really. So once we start modulating and using some filters and some envelopes and LFOs and stuff, we're going to make it sound a lot more interesting. So give the sound a bit of width as well actually. And let's insert a bandpass filter here. Turn the volume up, pull this mix slider down here. So we can hear, if we start modulating some of these parameters on this bandpass filter, we're going to get some pretty cool sounds. So and may modulate these pulse widths as well. Actually going to apply some phase modulation here to oscillator 1. Just brings a bit of warmth into the sound. And let's stick some reverb on. And actually you need to put the reverb in effects 2 slot, and then we can put in some tube in effects 1. We've got this quite nice chord sound going on now. Let's take it one step further. Let's modulate the cutoff frequency of this bandpass filter. And let's just play around with this filter a bit. So we get the LFO kind of, rather than it being straight into the sound, the LFO kind of creeps into the sound a bit. We could even sync it. And a bit more movement on that cutoff frequency might sound cool. So let's apply an envelope to this cutoff frequency as well. Back this envelope off. Push up the sustain. Trigger 0 reset, so it re-triggers that envelope with each new key press. Maybe a bit too much modulation there. But that tap right off. And quite a nice sound going on now. We can hold shift and click and drag the crosshair this first envelope, and let's modulate the pulse width of these 2 oscillators as well using that same envelope. So you get that swoop going on. And let's also use this envelope here, this envelope 1, this modulation envelope, to modulate the reverb, the dry wet of the reverb. So as the sound kind of opens up, we're going to get more and more reverb on the sound. So the sound just gets bigger and bigger the longer we sustain the note. And so there's our sound really. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that tutorial. I hope you found it useful. Any questions, please get in touch. And make sure you get yourself over to our website, massivesynth.com. Tons more tutorials on there using Native Instruments Massive. Thanks for watching. Alright, cheers. Bye.